Hey, I'm Kev, Mr. Cole. Welcome back to MotoGP 17 and the rider careers. Patrick McDonald is at the summit, but can he remain there after visiting Phillip Island in Australia, where the rain dance has worked? Look at this, we've got a damp track. And it's very dark overhead. Could start raining soon in this session. So McDonald's got to do these two qualifying laps quickly, even though you can see the sun trying to poke through there. As we enter the second corner around this fast circuit. Flowing and fantastic. It's on his LCR Honda. McDonald has taken to it like a duck towards and never finishing off the podium. Let's had some superb rides like through the field in Aragon and the wets in Misano. And last time out in Japan. Just battling his way through to grab the championship lead for the first time this season. It has taken a while. Once again, he's hotting up in the second half of the season just when he needs to be at the business end. He's used to this now. Fighting for another championship. It's only one season, or two seasons should we say, his MotoGP career where he hasn't fought for the title. His first season with Elusive Racing alongside the other McDonald. Be interesting to compare those two after Patrick McDonald hangs up the helmet in a few races' time. And then his first season in Moto2. But as we go into the second lap, the rain has started to fall. The sun won't be poking through, will it? There's all that rear end not liking the brake. And you've got to be careful in that first corner. There's a big bump in the middle of it. If you hit that wrong, you're in the world of pain. Which it doesn't look like McDonald will be. Everyone else is. They're coming out now. Coming out too late. And he's going quicker and quicker. Just, but still quicker. Let's go into the hairpin. Going to see lots of passes into there in the race. Going to be careful with how you break into. It's so easy to lose the rear, and especially into this corner as well. Uphill. Canvas forcing away from the apex. It's a long radius corner as well. The left-hander. And here's McDonald still 3/10 up on this lap alone. He's catching the KTM. Will that hold him up? It might, as he tries to go into the braking zone for the right. You can see half a second up. Well, he sweeps through, does. Winning champ. He's not been that great in qualifying, but seems like the rain has come to save him today. As he goes for the final corner. It's that home hero Jack Miller in front of his Mark VDS machine. We'll find out soon. So it does a 26. And he's on a different planet compared to everyone else, with Alicia Spargo joining him just ahead of Jonas Folger by 0.17 of a second. Then there is the home hero in fourth of Jack Miller with Sam Lowe's at the back. So can Patrick McDonald continue singing in the rain in qualifying 2? As it looks like the rain has gone away for the start of this second session, the one-shot shootout for pole here down under, an important pole in the championship. Will it be McDonald on his LCR Honda? Will it be a Yamaha? Then you always got to watch out for Marquez and Dovi as well. Caddy should be strong round here, power circuit. Even though there are lots of fast flowing corners, and corner stability hasn't exactly been their strong point over the years. Let's go into the hairpin, slightly wide. But he hit the apex at least. No mistakes on this lap. McDonald. Well, small mistakes. He got inside again. Struggles to get the power down. That's a short shift up to third. Well, it looks exactly the same as at the beginning of the last session. So the rain come again. Seems like just come in bursts, these showers. He goes for the long left-hander. Just when he's using the rear as the brake into the right. He goes downhill. What a fabulous corner it is. Not often a big fan of hairpins, but that hairpin is pretty good. And again, you've got to watch out for some moves into that corner. He goes through the final corner, bit wide, bit all over the place this, yeah. As here comes the rain again. And here comes McDonald with a 27 this time. It was never in doubt, was it? But the three title contenders occupied the front row with McDonald ahead of Vinales and Rossi. Then Marquez in fourth ahead of Dovi and Pedrosa. Then McDonald's teammate Crutchlow leads the third, Avellino and Zarco. Then Lorenzo leads the fourth ahead of Petrucci and Edish Espargaro. Let's see if the rain dance will continue into the race. As we look at the grid with the Hulk at the top. Head of Marquez. Got to watch out for the Spaniard into that first corner. It's fast right-hander, not a long run to it. As you look outside the top trail, you've got Folgady in the fifth row, Miller in 14th. And then at the back are your usual suspects. As the LCR Honda revs up the engine, waiting for lights to appear. And go out for this 7-lap race. But as you can see, the weather has cleared up on Sunday, but we've had lots of overnight rain. So the track is drenched. But it's wet conditions again for McDonald, who holds the lead into the first corner. Goes into the left. Oh, losing the rear slightly. Accelerates away in third. Nicely done. He's almost a second ahead of Vinales already. He just wants to run away with this championship now, doesn't he? Now that he's got the lead. It's still only build it by 5 points over the Spaniard. This remains the positions with the Yamahas on the podium. They're coming to race here in Philippines with the wet, which would be very strong in Malaysia next time out, which should be even stronger. Always very good round there, McDonald, in wet and dry conditions. Has Redding down in his Pramac on his opening lap. He's got a bat on his hands to score any points today, as he's just been outshone majorly by his teammate Petrucci. He's going to slow down in the second half of the season after having a brilliant first half, but still holds 6th in the championship, just ahead of the factory bikes of Pedrosa and Lorenzo. And now he is on an up-to-date Ducati. Maybe just a couple of updates. Minor updates behind the factory machines, but still. 2017 machine. Whatever year it is now. McDonald with a 30.7 in the opening lap. He's just gone for a Sunday ride. He's going to be wondering where everyone is as he goes through the left-hander. As it looks like the track will dry out by the end of this race, so it'll be interesting to see how the conditions are on the final lap, as it doesn't look like the rain is coming. We've got 4.2 second lead already over Vinales. Doesn't seem like him and Rossi are playing today. So Vinales purely hunting for McDonald, but still able to get close to the Kenyon's brilliance in the wet. Done that from his teammate. McDonald out elusive and seems to like carried on throughout the years. Now it's a 5.6 second lead. He's taken over a second out per sector in some of these. It's already, that racing line is drying up on the second lap of this race. Let's go through the final couple of corners. Looks like I've still got a big crowd despite all of the wet weather over the weekend. They love their motorcycle racing, even though there's not too many top Australian talents around. Yeah, we've got Jack Miller in MotoGP, we've got Remy Gardner in Moto2. But aside from that, we've got Josh Brooks in Superbikes. And the likes of Pitt as well, Brock Parks. Occasionally pop up on Superbikes or Grand Prix machinery. But it seems like all hopes for the future rest on Miller's shoulders for Australia. We'll see how he copes. Hope he copes like Troy Corser, who's a staple of Grand Prix and World Superbike racing for a number of years. Actually, it was mainly World Superbikes, wasn't it, with Troy? And he had a couple of titles in the 90s and 2000s. Absolutely fantastic rider, which has been growing up in a golden era of Superbike racing. As, oh, McDonald down into the hairpin. Just cruising. There's the tyres around halfway worn already. I suppose that's the tyre might be an issue this race. McDonald maybe just no two out the zone there. Just cruising along. Makes this brake, just snatches that brake and the rear goes under the bumps down into that hairpin. Still sets a 30.1. Slight the full. As that time should be going down, but still these wet tyres are going out of their operating range now. Look how wet this is. Even though they do work in intermediate conditions, this is starting to become dry conditions for them. But yeah, hopefully we'll see some more good Australian riders coming through. There's Elias Baz is down in 19th, the Frenchman. And now McDonald's outbraked himself into the hairpin. Having a bit of a mare half lap here. So the leader. Lucky he built up a super gap over Vinales, so it's about the halfway mark of the race. Doesn't need to push as hard, but he still seems to be doing that. Nothing less than 100% from McDonald. Because you're seeing what happens when he does go under 100%. Just makes mistakes all over the place. And if he goes over 100, well, mistakes are even worse. Have you seen earlier in the season? And throughout his career, but seems to be back on the straight and narrow now. Let's come to the end of the 4th lap. Just 3 laps remaining here. It's been a very lonely race. Let's go through the final corner. Onto the start-finish line. I also forgot the Australian who was very good in wet conditions. There's been Christopher Mullion last decade, but that's Anthony West. He's still riding around in his mid-30s. Thinking he's world super sport now. But yeah, he was a wet weather god. On Grand Prix Machinery last decade, winning in 250s. Can't remember what race it was, but he won by a country mile and won in wet conditions, which helped him get that nickname. He'd be renowned for being so good in wet conditions, but we've seen that with quite a few riders over the years. As all goes a bit wide. And I said, a couple of them Australian, so they're obviously used to going through the wet conditions, maybe growing up in Britain, riding around there. Will help. As you see him, the like sort of Cal Crutchlow as well. Going through machine, be pretty decent in wet conditions. So going into the hairpin, kind of endoed it slightly, did McDonald. He's kept it nice and smooth on the exit. It's interesting seeing riders like Jorge Lorenzo who've had big falls in the wet, kind of knocked their confidence. Him trying to rebuild that in the last couple of years since that massive crash, I think it was in Assen. Or he broke something, was it a collarbone? Correct me if I'm wrong down below, but yeah, seeing him trying to get better at wet conditions again. He's still cautious, as he's shown around Assen a couple of years ago. And Jack Miller won. Not Jack Miller, Mark Marquez won. Actually, yeah, Miller did win wet conditions as well. We had that crazy team with so many wet races in 2016. Yeah, seeing Lorenzo get better. He's never going to have as much confidence as he did before that crash. At least that's what he's sounding like him. But he's slowly getting average. He's a bit like Jack Villeneuve in the wet, I remember, in F1. He was absolutely terrible in the wet. Brilliant in the dry, was a very brave driver in the dry as well, a bit like his father, Jill, but in the wet, he was like a cat on ice skates. He was terrible. It was, McDonald tries to get on the power, the bike spins up. That's another fall for McDonald. Again in that hairpin. This time on the exit, just getting the power down, because look at that rear tyre, it is gone. As we head on to the final lap of the race. Dry track, wet tyres. Very worn wet tyres as well. How's this going to go? As the front is around 5th away left. Just at a 32.7, so he's still got a very comfortable lead over Vinales and Rossi, but another wake-up call for McDonald. The race isn't over till the checkered flag falls. He's learning that here in Fairparden with a couple of uncharacteristic mistakes in the second half of the season. Looks like the helicopter's hovering overhead, looking for falls into this Casey Stoner corner. Not going to happen though. As you can see, he's not going below third gear now on this final lap. Just wants a smooth exit out of these corners, keep it low revs as well. So he's not spinning up that tyre, would have the chance of spinning up the rear tyre. As he's just got half of that to go, just a couple of sweepers and hard braking point. Now this has been a dominant performance from McDonald, who's really turned it on since joining LCR. Boys on the podium, and now he'll make it 3 victories from 4 races. Another one in Malaysia, and he can have virtually one hand back on his crown. Let's go for the penultimate corner. Being very cautious. This is not going to be a quick lap time, is it? Goes for the final corner. Bit of a drift for the fans. And what a superb ride from McDonald with another victory this season. He's racking up just when he needs to. Once again. As he wins by 13.3 seconds to the fast lap by a country mile. With Rossi in third, Dovi in fourth ahead of Pedrosa, Renzo Petrucci, another rider who's pretty good in the wet. In seventh on, here's Premac ahead of Crutchlow and Folger. And Ian only ran out of the top 10. Alvaro Baptista once again a superb performance on that Aspar. Then Jack Meadows scoring some home points. Great job on the Mark VDS machine. Then Alicia Spargo and Tito Bat making it double bubble for Mark VDS in the points. Then Hector Barber grabbing the final point ahead of his fellow Spaniard. Alex wins. Mark Marquez down in 17th. Oh, he's definitely out of the title hunt. Might be out of the hunt for 4th as well with Dovi. Johan Zarco in 23rd and Noise Baz at the back. Oh, it was not a good race for the French. So in the championship, McDonald leads by 5 points ahead of Vinales with Rossi 12 points back, and it is definitely a three-way race now for the title with 50 points available. Dovi's 45 back, but 29 ahead of Marquez in 4th, and then Petrucci still holding on to 6th, 6 points ahead of Lorenzo with Pedrosa further 6 points back in 8th. Crutcher up to 9th ahead of Zarco as they're level on points, and Ian only up to 11th ahead of Scott Redding. And looking further back, you've got Tito about up to 19th ahead of Hector Barber, despite them both scoring points in this race. As in the constructors standings, Yamaha are virtually your champions, 47 points ahead of Honda, who are 34 ahead of Ducati. Then got Suzuki, Aprilia and KTM. When the teams rankings, well done to the factory Yamaha team. They have won the title ahead of LCR Honda, 20 points ahead of Ducati, and they're 35 ahead of the Repsol Honda team. And then we've got Premac in for virtually guaranteed a top 5 place. Great job from the Satellite Ducati team with Tech 3 in 6th. Then Suzuki in 7th, Prucasini 8th, Aspar in 9th, catching up to Prucasini, just 11 points back now, and 7 ahead of Avintia, who are 6 ahead of Mark VDS, with a factory KTM effort at the back. And yes, another win in a flyway race, 2 on the trot abroad, and the clones of McDonald will be partying hard into the destroying night. As we head to the penultimate race of the season of his career, can Patrick McDonald make it 3 victories in a row? As here goes the Flying Kenyan on to his 2 qualifying laps around the Sepang International Circuit in Malaysia. And he's on a hot streak once again as he goes into the right-hander. He's coming to a circuit where he's always done fabulously in the past, most often winning as well. He's very unpredictable with the weather. As you can see, cloudy overhead. We've got a dry qualifying, but you never know for the race. The rain dance will work once again in the second half of this season. Already has that half the races, hasn't it? Been last time out in Australia, but the circuit a bit of a longer lap than Fairparden. That's one of the shortest circuits on the calendar. This is one of the longest. Let's go through left and right. A circuit built for F1 in the late 90s. Been around almost 20 years now. But it's become the home of Grand Prix motorcycle racing here as well. Still not the biggest fan of the bikes around here. But then if Patrick McDonald does well, I guess I should be a fan. Just like the other McDonald as well. They've been very good round here. Goes into the right, sliding a bit right. Maybe should have dropped it down to second. Help with the acceleration out that corner as well. And then through the sweeping left and right, and then into the trickiest corner on the circuit. No doubt about it. This penultimate corner. But that's a nice ride line. A bit of a spin up from the rear side, getting the power down, but superb down the back straight, heading towards the final corner. Drifting slightly wide. But clips that apex. Gets smoothly on the power. And heads towards the line and sets a 57.4. Does he even need a second lap? No, he doesn't, as he makes it through by half a second ahead of Jonas Folger, who joins him as the only two riders dipping into the 57s. As Elise Spogger out in third, and Scott Redding, Alvaro Baptista, Jack Miller, Baz, Alex Rintero, about Hector Barber, Carrie Abraham, then the KTMs and Sam Lowe's and the back row. So, you know what to do, Patrick McDonald. As normally you need 1 lap in this session, will Patrick McDonald, but he has 2 on offer now after just using 1 of them in qualifying 1. That was a very confident performance, wasn't it? And he need 2, as he totally messed up the first corner already. Very easy to do that, to help brake yourself into that corner, and then perhaps not carry enough speed to go round the corner as well. It's always taken way too much curve through the right-hander. You have to be aggressive through that sweeping right-hand corner, but that is a bit too aggressive into that bend, or through the bend. And now he's up-braked himself into the right at the end. The back straight. This is a horrible first sector. Oh, he's started the second one just as poorly. Look at this. He's going to China and back as he goes through the left and the right. Could virtually say hello to Indonesia, couldn't he? Through that corner. As he goes through the double right now. Oh, he's actually at the apex of a couple of corners. It's a miracle on this lap. Isn't it? It's like the helicopter pilot's just hovering over the grandstands to the right hand side. Once again, he's totally not following the rider who's qualifying. Does he not have like directions of where to go around circuit still? You would have thought it'd learn after, what's this, 6 seasons now? Actually more than that, over a decade now of racing. He's still not learned where to go. As he go through the left and in through the right. Or rear end sliding slightly. So he gets it down to second beautifully though. With a penultimate corner and then hard on the power out of it. As he go down the back straight. Just got 1 more corner to go on this horrible lap before he really starts qualifying. And goes for pole. I mean, I said this is a horrible lap. It might still be under the 2-minute mark. It might still be a 57. It is a 57.6. So you can definitely do a 56 then, Cam McDonald. Let's nail this first corner. Oh, the brakes weren't having it though. Gone slightly deep. Very nicely slowed down for the second left though. Now for the right, can he carry the speed? Oh, he can. That was nicely done. And look at a second. Faster than the previous lap. It's that right-hander a bit wider than you think. Breaking into it. So he used that on the apex, did. On the exit, should I say, McDonald. In through the left and right. Nicely hooked up those corners. Nice and smooth on the power, so heading towards the double right. 2.3 up. It's not just a 56 it's aiming for. Might be a 54. As Volker's gone down in his Tech 3. And Dovi sets a 56.8. McDonald is going to blitz that if he just keeps it up in the second half of this lap. Even though he's kind of messed up those 2 right-handers. Gets hard on the power. And last with the 56.7. But watch out for McDonald. The pit boards will be saying. As he's half a second up now on Vinales. And now Rossi with a 56.4. They're all going out early in this session. But here comes McDonald for pole. Just needs to nail the braking into this hairpin. And that is nice and smoothly done as he runs towards the line. Will it be a 55? It will. And it's pole once again to the LCR Honda by half a second ahead of Marquez. Out-qualified Vinales and Rossi released the second ahead of Dovi and Crutchlow. Then we've got Pedrosa, and Zarco on the third row, then Lorenzo, Folger and Danilo Petrucci. So, can he make it 3 in a row? So we look at the grid with Hulk at the top and 2 LCR Hondas on the front page of Crutchlow in 6th on the second row as we look outside the top 12 with Espargo leading the 5th row, Miller the 6th, and then your usual select it's on the last page as the Kenyan revs at the edge of for lights appear and go out for this 5-lap race under the Malaysian sun. Who will survive the heat? Will McDonald towards the first corner as Marcus is down the inside, braking a bit cautiously as well. He's got Vinales on the dirt. He's got Marcus blocking him off his seat as well as he goes into Iannone. And now here comes Lorenzo as McDonald's getting shuffled back in the first couple of corners where he regained 6th at least. Losing the rear though. Oh no, I think Lorenzo touched him as he got Pedrosa in 8th, battling with Iannone. Oh, and here comes Pedrosa down the inside of McDonald into the right-hander as they go 3 wide with Iannone going down the inside of Pedrosa. That Italian has balls of steel. Unfortunately, they're too heavy on the exit as we go through the right-hander. And Iannone just pushing McDonald wide. He's swamped down to 9th behind Zarco now. And then McDonald gets into Iannone back, and now here comes Zarco down the inside of McDonald, and then McDonald down the inside of Zarco. We've got a horse race going on here. It's changing all the time. Who will win? Who's the jockey that's going to cross the finish line in first? As he got Pedrosa holding up McDonald through the right hand, as Zarco wants another look at McDonald. As he has a look at Pedrosa in front, now he's run right into the right hand, and that allows not just Zarco but Lorenzo having it down his inside. McDonald holds it onto the curve though. As he goes into the left hand, he's now down the inside the Tech 3. Back for 7th. As the Yamahas are racing right at the front. In first and second, McDonald into the back of Pedrosa again. Danny is just a constant roadblock on his opening that. As we go down the back straight, the Honda should have a good slipstream off the Yamaha though. Both satellite bikes as well, so that Tech 3 shouldn't have too much grunt compared to the factory machinery. McDonald looking down the inside, Pedrosa into the final corner, sneaks by Danny in the night. He did not see that coming. As he crosses the line in 6th place, somehow recovered back into 6th. That's why he did the fast lap, 2 minute for that. Crutchlow in 5th. LCR Honda 5th and 6th. Behind Dovi, behind Marquez in 3rd. But more importantly, it's the 2 Yamahas in 1st and 2nd. And at the moment, Vinales will be leading heading to his home race. The 4th Spanish round of the season in Valencia. But there's still 4 laps to go. We know how good McDonald is round this Malaysian circuit. Not breaking into that corner though, as Danny wants to try and sneak back by, but McDonald says nah. And then runs slightly wide through to the left, but he's going to have the inside for the right. This Pedrosa putting up a good fight here. The opening stages of this Malaysia Grand Prix. He goes through the first right and hooks up the second, or bashes the curve on the inside. Not setting up a good run heading towards the hairpin as he tries to catch up to his teammate under the brakes. Hopefully Crutch won't be too much trouble for McDonald, but then he's got Dovi, who's back from 4th in the championship with Marquez, who's in front of him. And of course the Yamahas, they're battling each other and McDonald in the Charital race as Zarco back past Lorenzo for 8th. And then down goes Johan. Oh, he's had an adventurous first couple of laps. And it's not ended well for him. So not quite in the slipstream of his teammate, but he's got almost a second gap behind to Pedrosa. But as you've already seen, he's mighty under the brakes into this final corner. Could he go down the inside of his teammate? Not quite. But he's going to get a beautiful slipstream, maybe down the start finish straight. Oh, he's just going to hit a super exit. As he races by, dips into a 57, just like Rossi and Vinales, who set 57 threes. They're half a second slower though. Oh, really braking hard into that first corner. And Crutchlow! What has Crutchlow done? Tried to sneak down the inside. And he's clashing with McDonald. We thought Crutchlow would be easy. Instead, he's almost taken out his title challenging teammate. Instead, he goes down. There's now a 1.6 second gap for McDonald to make up on this third lap. It is not a long race around here, that's rise. So McDonald got to make every lap count. From now on. He goes through the left and then into the right. Fortunately, the rear sliding a bit too much. It's around halfway through the race. Tyre wear is not an issue at all. It's all about pace. And at the moment, McDonald does not quite have it. He goes out the double right. But you see, it's a Yamaha's battery recharger, which means they're not pulling away from Marquez and Dovi. Which is good. Just needs to get his act together, McDonald. Pumping a couple of fastest laps. Goes through the right. And into the left. Once again, the front is just sliding slightly for him, it looks like. Just understeering everywhere. Not quite getting the bike in the corner how you would like. Well, that's not too bad into the penultimate corner. Not good on the power, though. And you see that front tyre slightly more worn than the rear. As you go into the left. Nice and hard on the power. As he goes on to the penultimate lap of the race. It's a 57.6. That is not good. But he's half a second behind Dovi. He needs to get on that podium. He wants a really good chance of winning the title. Because down in fifth. He's going to be double digits behind Vinales, will he? We're quite a way back. And that is not good for the championship. It's the rear sliding again through that right-hander. Bike's just not working well in these dry conditions. He goes for the right. Had to be careful getting the power down on the exit. Got a bit too close to the curb. And again, look at that rear sliding under braking for the left. He goes into the next right again. He's just got to work with the slide. A bit like how he rode that KTM last season. Only adapted his riding style in the middle of a race. Always handy. But he's almost onto the back of Dovi and fourth. Almost into the back of Dovi for fourth. He goes for the right-hander. Come on, get on the power. Just wants to be a bit more aggressive on the power, but just having to wait for the bike in these corners. But he's right in the tail of the Ducati. Should get a good slipstream. Give that Ducati power as well down this back straight. Let's here we go. But the Ducati will pull away because it's got a bit more power, maybe even with the slipstream. Let's break into the final corner. He tries to dive down the inside of Dovizioso. And he takes fourth. But Mark is maybe too far in front as we go on to the final lap of the race. But Odds finally sets the fastest out 57.3. But he needs to find a second and a half on this final lap to be on the podium as always locking the rear into the first corner. Then into the left. Oh, Dovi almost into the back of him. Upset his run out the corner because he had to get on the throttle, else he's going to be cannonballed by a Ducati. And look at, he's lost a couple of tenths to Marcus thanks to that. He goes into the right. Smooth enough on the power. He's finally hooking up on this final lap. Bike's finally come to him. Just a bit too late to challenge for victory. Or maybe even challenge for a podium. Where you can see he's gaining on Marcus slightly. Just a tenth that time around. A great run through the double right-hander. Got on the power nice and early. And then breaking into the left. It's Rossi leading. That's great for the championship. Head of Vinales. Definitely want the veteran to win round here. Circuit race won so many times as Vinales now takes back that lead. Look at them side by side, the Yamahas. Throwing caution to the wind on this final lap. Absolutely superb to see with the popcorn in fourth. That's all. He's over a second behind Marcus. He's not going to be able to dive into the final corner. It is going to be fourth for McDonald off the podium. Absolutely terrible result for the championship with Yamaha 1-2. But who is going to be 1? Who is going to be 2? Let's go out the final corner. It's going to be Vinales. As McDonald almost did the 56 there on the final lap. He was pushing like hell. But just lost it at the start, then battling with his team, and that really cut his infamous, I can't even say the word, in this race. As he did set the fast out in that final out, 57 flat, but he's 2.6 seconds behind Vinales, who wins by a tenth of a second over Rossi. Marquez in third, then Dovi in fifth. Pedrosa here, Florenzo 7th, Petrucci in 8th, Crutchlow in 9th, Eno round at the top 10 of Alvaro Baptista, another superb ride at Asbar. Then Scott Redding in trail, Folger 13th, Spargo 14th, and Barbara on the Avinta in 15th, ahead of Alex Rins by just over a tenth of a second. Saka down in 19th, and Sam Knowles at the back. So with one race remaining, Maverick Vinales takes back the championship lead from Patrick McDonald after he fails to finish on the podium for the first time on board the LCR Honda. It's a 7-point gap between the Spaniard and the Kenyan, with Rossi just a further 5 points behind in third. Can the Italian maybe finally grab that 10th world title, with Andrea Dovizioso virtually guaranteed fourth place in the championship for Ducati, ahead of Marc Marquez by 24 points with 25 available. But it's a heck of a battle for sixth going on, with Daniel Petrucci leading Jorge Lorenzo by 5 points in his Premac Ducati against the factory Ducati. Then we've got Pedrosa further 5 points back on his factory Honda. Then Crutchlow in 9th is 7 points ahead of Zarco, with Ian only 6 points ahead of Scott Redding. And then it's just 2 points separating Alicia Spargo and his Aprilia Goscinny, and Jonas Folger on his Tech 3 Yamaha. And then looking behind, we've got Alvaro Baptista in 15th, 14 points ahead of Rins, and 8 points behind Volga. That's still viable for the veteran to grab 14th in his home race. And then we've got Lois Baz just 2 points behind Rins on his Avinta Ducati compared to the factory Suzuki, with Jack Miller further 6 points back on his Mark VDS Honda, with Hector Barbara up to 19th on his Avinta, ahead of Tito Ratta on his Mark VDS machine. But in this like those, Bradley Smith and Paul Swago are set to score no points this season, with Yamaha 56 points ahead of Honda, 39 ahead of Ducati, virtually guaranteed second in the championship now, with Suzuki, Aprilia and KTM, well, their fates were sealed a long time ago. And then the team's rankings, the factory Yamaha team have won the title. LCR Honda 20 points ahead of Ducati heading to the final race, and they're 29 points ahead of the Repsol Honda team. They've got Premac in 5th, Tech 3 in 6th, they're guaranteed their position. So is Suzuki in 7th. There's only 8 points separating Aprilia Goscinny and Aspar though, and they're 11 points ahead of Avinta, just 7 points ahead of Mark VDS. So for the final time, Patrick McDonald will be getting the letters on and be racing at 10,000 miles per hour around the Valencia circuit in Spain next time out. Can he win? Can he grab the title? Can he defend a title? So much for watching, and we'll find out then.